In 2.4, we talk about conditionals that are related to each other. So remember, a conditional is just an if-then statement. So we have our if this, then that. So now we're going to talk about the inverse, where we negate. So it's formed by negating or making negative the hypothesis and the conclusion. So this is going to be in symbolic form. Not, remember that means not. So not P, if not P, then not Q. The converse, on the other hand, is formed by switching the hypothesis and the conclusion. So now we're going to have if Q, then P. And then the contrapositive is formed by negating, so the first part, and switching, so it's a combination. Negating and switching the hypothesis and conclusion. So I like to remember these in order. The inverse is not P. If not P, then not Q. The converse, you switch them. Q, then P. And the contrapositive, you just add the nots again. So not, if not Q, then not P. So let's write these down here. If it is Saturday, then there is no school. So remember, the hypothesis is the part that is, it is Saturday, and the conclusion is there is no school. So the inverse of this is saying if it is not, because the inverse is not P, then not Q. If it is not Saturday, then there is school. Because negating, making negative, taking the opposite is, we're taking the opposite of this. We negate the no, and so now it's sort of like two negatives. When you subtract a negative, it makes a positive. That's what's happening here. So if it is not Saturday, then there is school. So truth value, no, this is false, because it could be Sunday. So we have school on Sundays. The converse is when we switch the hypothesis and the conclusion. So if there is no school, we keep the no in there. Write it just as it is. If there is no school, then it is Saturday. So again, false. It could be Sunday, and it could be e-learning. Or it could be Memorial Day, or wherever. So the contrapositive then, so I go in order, put the nots first, then you switch. And the contrapositive, now you're going to put the nots in the converse up here. So follow this part here. And now just negate that statement, both the hypothesis and the conclusion. So if there is school, the opposite of no school, then it is not Saturday. That is true, unless they ever instate something called Saturday school, which is usually for people who haven't done what they're supposed to do. Had it at a different school that I was at. So anyway, if there is school, then it is not Saturday. That part is true. Let's do this down here. So here is my hypothesis. This is my conclusion. So I'm going to say the inverse, I'm going to keep it the same order, and I'm going to add knots to it. So if the temperature is not 25 degrees Fahrenheit, then it is not below freezing. Well, that kind of seems silly to me. So you could have any other temperature that's 32 degrees or below that's not 25 degrees, and then it is below freezing. So this one is false. So my counter example, I'm going to say, is that it could be 26 degrees and be below freezing. It could be 27. It could be 0. Okay, the converse then is when I'm going to write if it is below freezing, then the temperature is 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So again, that is false. We could say 26, 27, 30 below, and it's still freezing. So then the contrapositive is, now I'm going to say, still the red part here, if it is not below freezing, then the temperature is not 25 degrees Celsius. Now that is true, because to be 25 degrees Celsius, it is below freezing. So if it's not below freezing, that means it's above 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which could not be 25. So I want you to do number 10 and then check it with my key.